Good evening. You're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Choudhry. A couple of incidents, viewers, which happened over the weekend. Once again, Pride opened the debate on intolerance against the minorities, something that was echoed by Rahul Gandhi in a tweet as well. While the political storm over that tweet continued, a hate speech, a very, very provocative speech, which could easily be termed as hate speech, was delivered by no one else but BJP MLA Nitesh Rane in a political rally. 2 FIRs have been lodged against him, but once again leading to the larger question of how we are equipped or ill-equipped to deal with hate speech.
BJP MLA Nitesh Rane speaks out in support of Mahant Ramgiri Maharaj, who allegedly made derogatory remarks about Islam and Prophet Muhammad at a religious event. Rane, addressing public meetings on Sunday, sent out a clear threat to the minority community. The police have filed 2 FIRs against Rane, who sought to defend his remark a day later.
पूना जिलाधिकारी कलेक्टर ऑफिस के बाहर एक मोर्चा निकाला गया और इस वो मोर्चे में रामगिरी महाराज जी को धमकाया गया और सर तन से जुदा इस तरीके की घोषणाएं दी गई। अगर आप हमको सर तन से जुदा की घोषणाएं देंगे कि पहले हम भी एक हिंदू है और हम भी उसी तरीके का एक्शन टू रिएक्शन देंगे।
Rane's hate speech comes days after an elderly man was assaulted on a train over suspicion of possessing beef. The video of the suspects targeting the 71-year-old has gone viral. The 3 suspects who were arrested for the attack were incidentally going to appear for a police recruitment test. The victim later appealed for peace.
आप कोई ऐसा गलत कदम ना उठाए, मैं आपसे इतनी इल्तिजा करता हूँ और आपसे मैं अल्लाह से दुआ करता हूँ कि आप मेरे हयात हूँ, अल्लाह ने मेरे को सब सही सलामत रखा है।
Last week, a rat picker from Bengal, Sabir Malik, and his associates were brutally beaten up in Charkhi Dadri in Haryana over suspicion of beef consumption. Malik succumbed to his injuries. The same day, a mob allegedly abducted another man over the same suspicion. He was rescued by the police.
इस मामले में हमने 7 एक्यूज्ड को अरेस्ट कर लिया है, जिसमें से हमने 4 को पुलिस रिमांड पे लिया हुआ है। उन पुलिस रिमांड पर उन्होंने बताया कि इसमें एक और शामिल था, उसको भी हमने कल अरेस्ट कर लिया है, मोहित, जो बिरी कला का रहने वाला है।
कानून है ना, हमने कानून बनाया। आप जाइए थाने में और पुलिस सरकार कार्रवाई करेगी। आप खुद मत करिए ये मॉब लिंचिंग वगैरह, ये आज के युग में ठीक बातें नहीं है।
Leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi, citing the 2 attacks in Maharashtra and Haryana, has accused the BJP government of giving a free hand to anti-social elements. The Congress MP who had embarked on the Bharat Jodo Yatra claimed his fight against hate will go on. The series of hate speech incidents and attacks have continued despite repeated warnings by the Supreme Court to state governments. Bureau Report, India Today.
The fact is, viewers, the matter of hate speech has already been addressed by the Supreme Court, but adequately enough is the big question. Let's hark back to the 2023 January Supreme Court order, where the court, and I quote, had asked all the states to submit a response on the steps undertaken to follow the court's guidelines on hate speeches, while directing several states to register cases for hate speech under relevant sections. And they said, and I quote, "We make it clear that any hesitation to act in accordance with this direction will be viewed as contempt of the court." Has this happened? We leave it for our viewers to decide in the kind of indiscrepancy that we see. Joining me right now is Sanjay Hegde, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court, Tuhin Sinha, National Spokesperson, BJP, Pushparaj Deshpande, Spokesperson, Congress. We'll come to our political panelists later, but cutting across to Sanjay Hegde first. Sanjay Hegde, the point is we'll have leaders after leaders, sometimes cutting across party lines, deliver the most provocative, vitriolic hate speeches, and there's nothing really ever done. while on the other hand, we have people like Omar Khalid who spend months in jail battling hate speech charges.
Well, the point is that these hate speeches often happen whenever there is a benefit from it. Translated, it means whenever there's an election, then you can be sure that there will be people who will try attempting hate speeches, try attempting to polarize the situation. And as a consequence of those speeches, sometimes there will be acts of violence. What does the country do to break this cycle? One is, of course, the authorities, and the authorities include the judiciary. Maybe it was time for the judiciary to also look at possibly taking action against the political parties themselves. There is also the attempt currently to goad the administration into filing FIRs and taking action under the normal criminal law. But ultimately, it's a question of who benefits. As long as there is a benefit from hate speech, people will continue to do it unless you can penalize them in a way that it hurts them, either politically or in monetary terms. The Supreme Court is looking for solutions. There is all this batch of hate speech matters has been listed continuously before the Supreme Court. There hasn't been an effective hearing for some time, but I have no doubt that if something goes out of hand, the Supreme Court will act immediately. But things need not go to the Supreme Court. It is incumbent upon all the governments under the existing guidelines, even in the lynching matters, even in the Poonawalla case, there have been guidelines which have already been given, which can be used to solve or at least limit the hate speech problem. But often it is argued that one man's free speech is another man's hate speech. That is not the question. If your speech incites violence against any community that is weaker, then it certainly is hate speech, and full action under the law should follow.
But, Sanjay Hegde, that's the question, because, one can look up at the state governments to take action, but that really hasn't happened. We've given right now in graphics a legion of cases that have come and gone without any action taking place. And possibly in the latest case where Nitesh Rane is concerned, he's a sitting MLA, and in all probability in the next months to come, because Maharashtra is in election mode, he'll be given a ticket and fielded yet again. Now that is where possibly the roles of courts will come in. Do you feel that the courts have adequately addressed the issue of hate speech? They brought it up the last time around, putting the onus on states, but really nothing's come in from the states. Isn't it time to, relook at it?
Courts have repeatedly shown the big stick, but they have not wielded it. If an example is made of one or two particularly bad cases, then possibly the message will be driven home. What happens in the Supreme Court often is that judges change very frequently. These matters go before senior judges, and senior judges try to push the matter, and then it's retirement time, and then a new set of judges comes in and again start almost from scratch or slightly beyond that. So institutional memory is often with the lawyers, but even among the lawyers, everybody has so many tales of woe to say. Right from the time during COVID, when there was this entire campaign against the Tablighi Jamaat. That is one set of matters which is pending before the Supreme Court. Then there have been these repeated Dharm Sansads, which have called for the expulsion of people. That is another set of matters. So if in any past matter, effective action is taken against the perpetrators, then people in future will learn not to indulge. And here, if the courts were possibly to ask political parties, do you stand by your member's speech here? Is this in favor of yours? And should we record a finding that this is for electoral purposes, which will then possibly affect election petitions and things like that, then maybe some political parties will rein in their hot heads.
Well, once again, looking up to the courts to do that. Appreciate you joining us, Mr. Hegde. I want to cut across right now to our political panelists. Tuhin Sinha, it does seem that action will not come from governments. And let's give you the latest example of your own political party MLA, Nitesh Rane, who's gone ahead and made the most vitriolic and divisive, provocative, call it what you may, but it's definitely a hate speech. The question is the BJP going to field him again with an MLA ticket in this Maharashtra election? Are you going to reward him for the hate speech, or will action be taken by the party, not an FIR?
Everybody, there are two issues. There are two issues at hand over here: hate crimes and hate speech. When it comes to hate crimes, whether it was Haryana over the weekend where a couple of people were killed, immediate action was taken. 7 people have been apprehended, and the law will take its own course. When it comes to Maharashtra, again, 3 people were beaten up. 1 person was beaten up. 3 have been arrested. Now, when it comes to Nitesh Rane, 2 FIRs have been filed, and it's a matter of time before the law will catch up. The problem over here is, with the Congress party, which has been going on about hate crimes, is Rahul Gandhi's obnoxious selectivity when it comes to, crimes against Hindu community. And I think to that extent, he becomes an enabler. I will give you some examples. 2 sitting Congress MLAs of Telangana, Rashid Khan and another, and Firoz Khan, if I'm not mistaken, when Wasim Rizvi had converted to Hinduism 3 years ago, you know what they had done? They had issued a bounty of 50 lakhs, 25 lakhs each for their head. Have they been removed? Maulana Taqi Raza, who made a statement to the effect that he will annihilate Hindus before the Uttarakhand assembly elections, he was immediately lapped up by the Congress party, and the Congress party went into an alliance with them. Satish Jakiroli, who, abused the term Hindu, continues in the Congress party. So I think, this selectivism needs to stop. There is no room for hate crimes or hate speeches in this country. And I think we will walk the talk when it comes to it, in the same way that we have made the immediate arrest in Haryana and in Maharashtra. Unlike, you see in Bengal, where criminals are rewarded, we take swift action against the criminals.
Tuhin Sinha, you're very right that selectivity needs to be done away with, but so should whataboutery. So what all you detailed about the Congress, we're going to ask the Congress spokesperson. Let me rephrase and ask this question again to you. Will the BJP give Nitesh Rane a ticket to fight elections in this assembly elections coming up in Maharashtra? Should. You might say it's for the BJP. Should the BJP?
I do not have the mandate for it.
Sir, you don't think somebody who's made a speech as vitriolic as this?
These decisions are taken, there is a process wherein these decisions are taken by the CEC. So, I would not get into it, and I don't have the mandate to get into it. But fact is, I'm condemning the words.
Should he be given a ticket?
Words are despicable. Such words. No.
Let's change will to should. Should he be given a ticket?
I don't have the mandate to speak on that. The point is Sorry.
Go ahead, sir. Make your point.
No, I'm condemning the words used by Mr. Rane. Such words have no space in public life, and such words should never be spoken by any politicians. And I think, I will not be selective over here like the Congress party. I can detail more instances of how Rahul Gandhi rushes to Hathras but cannot go to Ayodhya, where Moid Khan rapes. So for us, the caste or the religion of the criminal does not matter. Law will take its own course. That's what I can assure you. Whether he gets the ticket or not is something I'm not in a position to even hint at right now. Because first of all, I'm sure the 2 FIRs will move against him, and I think it's a matter of time before action begins against him.
All right, caste and religion doesn't matter, but in politics, truck with voters matters. And Mr. Rane and his father both have fair amounts of influence where Maharashtra is concerned. So therefore, right now, the big question, which would be, I would reckon, for any political party, very simple to answer, should he be given a ticket, cannot be answered so simply. And that's the sad part of our politics. Pushparaj Deshpande also joining us, spokesperson Congress. Mr. Deshpande, as elucidated by Mr. Sinha, there have been many instances, sir, where there has been doublespeak, where the Congress comes into question. The Congress decides to pick and choose and be selective about what they deem hate speech and let the other pass.
Having me on your show, and a very good evening to Tuhil. See, the Congress party's internal mechanisms are robust, and wherever there have been any infractions from party members, even if they are legislators and senior ministers, action has been taken in a time-bound manner. And the fact of the matter is the Congress party does not condone any kind of hate speech in any form. We are firmly committed to upholding the Constitution of India, and that is something that I stand by. Secondly, it is no coincidence that hate speeches and cases of enmity between communities has jumped more than 300% since 2014, up from 336 in 2014 to 1,444 in 2022. In fact, 75% of these cases were in BJP governed states. In many of these, as Sanjay Hegde pointed out just before, BJP leaders are directly implicated, and this has become party policy. Sadly, Preeti ji, the BJP's top leadership has methodically normalized the vilification and othering of minorities and Muslims in particular. The Prime Minister, the Home Minister, the Uttar Pradesh and Assam CMs, multiple legislators have covertly and overtly dog-whistled against minority. In the Lok Sabha campaign alone, Prime Minister Modi made very hateful anti-minority comments in 100 out of 173 speeches. Now, if Prime Minister Modi truly believes in Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, and if the BJP is committed to India's constitution and Sarva Dharma Sambhava, as Article 2 of their own party constitution asserts, then they must immediately take actions against repeat offenders like Nitesh Rane, Raja Singh, Giriraj Singh, Anurag Thakur, and Prime Minister, and suspended since they are all violating Article 25 of their party constitution. Not just that, they are also violating their oaths of allegiance to uphold India's constitution and nation's integrity. Secondly, we can draw only two conclusions that the BJP is not suspending them. Either BJP, the Prime Minister Modi is weak and unable to control his legislators, or that the BJP tacitly endorses their stance, including Nitesh Rane. Now look at the real-world consequences. Nearly 7.3 lakh Muslims have been rendered homeless because 1.5 lakh homes were demolished by bulldozers, in many cases without due process and by the BJP appropriating judicial powers. There have been motivated economic boycotts, mob lynchings. And this just goes on. There is a method to this madness, Preeti ji. These cases, hate cases, invariably mushroom only in election-going states, like is happening in Maharashtra, in Western Maharashtra.
That's also the charge, Mr. Deshpande. That's also a charge, because when your own allies make it, you look the other way, but you are very ready to point fingers at the Bharatiya Janata Party.
That's not true, Preeti ji. We are involved in the India Alliance, and we are constantly making sure that we adhere to constitutional values. If any of our allies do this, violate the constitutional norms, we do make it a point to tell them. We may not maybe publicly chide our this thing because there is a coalition dharma.
That's the sad part, right? No, that's the sad part, Mr. Deshpande, because if a Tuhin Sinha today can say, I don't have the mandate to say it publicly, you're doing exactly the same by saying that we might not do it publicly, but we make sure that the message is delivered. What's the difference?
Preeti ji, in West Bengal, we publicly chided the TMC. You know this for a fact. So the fact of the matter is, we do draw a line. There are some Lakshman Rekhas that no one can cross.
Most of, the hate speech matters also coming up again tomorrow in the courts. But if you look at it, most of the hate speeches that have gone to court with FIRs also on them seemingly come from the Bharatiya Janata Party, statistic-wise.
Well, first of all, the Congress representative over here seems to include everything under hate speech. If by that logic, what Rahul Gandhi said on 31st March, if BJP wins, the country will be set on fire. That is the biggest example of a hate speech. So I think, first of all, we need to be a little careful in defining what is hate speech. He's saying that, in Congress, they pulled up the TMC government. If they know how to pull up the TMC government, they should follow the example of their own leader, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary. One tweet, one very casual tweet which didn't mean anything, did not pull up the TMC government. Rather, the Congress party has been complicit in the way TMC has shielded criminals in Kolkata. Coming back to the hate speech, I repeat, there are Congress legislators who continue, those who have issued bounty to kill people in the country. Have they taken any action? On the contrary, what our spokesperson, one of the spokespersons, has gone through 2 years ago, it's there on public domain, and I think nobody can forget that. So I think it's important for Congress to walk the talk rather than, one, add communal angle to it, and two, not act on certain people where the guilty belong to a certain community. What action have they taken against Maulana Tawqir Raza, who seems to be growing in stature in Uttarakhand with the alliance with Congress party? Has Rahul Gandhi ever gone to, an Ankita's house in Jharkhand, a victim of love jihad at the age of 15 who was brutalized, or Neha Hiremat's house in Karnataka, who was again brutalized by a person from a certain community? So these people should walk the talk instead of waxing eloquent over here on hate speech and hate crimes.
Mr. Deshpande, would you want to come in for a rebuttal?
Yeah, Preeti ji, I think that much like the BJP and Nitesh Rane and others are trying to polarize this issue, this is not a Hindu versus Muslim issue. And I know they're trying to make this into a Hindu versus Muslim issue, as tacitly many spokespersons have been doing on other shows. Now, the fact of the matter is, many Hindus openly say that the BJP doesn't represent Hinduism or speak on our behalf. Most of us believe that we are Indians firstly and lastly. We are affronted by the constant attacks the BJP legislators are spearheading on Muslim dignity and freedoms and rights of every individual that is against them, that is progressive and adheres to the constitutional idea of India. Their efforts to communalize India are both constitutionally and civilizationally antithetical to India. I personally feel, this is my personal opinion, but structurally I feel that we are witnessing the last gasp of Kamandal. After Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatras, and because ordinary citizens are genuinely disgusted with communal polarization, partly because of the BJP.
But Mr. Deshpande, a lot of this is theoretical and very good to hear. But like you said, and I'll give you an example. You had your own MP who was arrested for making a hate speech, and then you fielded him again, Mr. Imran Masood, who actually won from Uttar Pradesh.
See, as I'm saying, that there is a court of appeal. There is a court. There is a legal system. If he's found guilty, then he's going to be put in jail and put behind bars, and he's going to be penalized. And obviously,
and then when he comes out, you award him, Mr. Deshpande.
Sorry, no, that's not true.
When he comes out, you award him. What happened with Imran Masood?
As far as I know, Preeti ji, as far as I know, that you are still in this country innocent till proven guilty. That's what I know. So the fact of the matter is,
that's the point.
If the
because
court
he
finds him
was,
guilty,
Mr. Imran, okay, I'll give you an example. Mr. Imran Masood on camera used the most derogatory and which could be deemed as hate speech words against Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister, right? So it wasn't proven, it was a video. Like Nitesh Rane is a video. So my question once again comes to Heen Sinha to the same point, because in politics, it doesn't matter. It's ultimately now up to the courts to set a precedent, because be it the Congress, be it the Bharatiya Janata Party, it's practically the same thing. Because Tuhin Sinha will sit here and say, it's terrible what he said, but I can't tell you whether he'll be given a ticket or not. It's very basic, Tuhin Sinha. Should Nitesh Rane be fielded in this election? No, because he's made the most provocative speech.
No, if you want that answer, you can, get an independent guest like Raghav Avasthi. He will be more direct. You also know that political parties, espouse a certain line, which is, and we are disciplined soldiers. So you also know this. You get a Raghav Avasthi, he will speak to you openly on the topic. Preeti, the point is, thank you for exposing the hypocrisy of this Congress party. For them, and Imran Masood saying he will butcher the Prime Minister is not hate speech till, he's convicted by a court of law. This is the understanding of the Congress party, which I've been trying to expose in the last 15 minutes. And I'm again repeating the question. Why does the Congress party, go soft when the culprits belong to a certain community? Okay. And again, I'm naming those culprits.
But I'll tell you
Rashid Khan
what.
and Feroz Khan continue to be
in
Telangana.
Mr. Deshpande, come in. Okay, Mr. Deshpande wants to come in.
Why do they continue to have an alliance with Imran?
But it's a little rich. The fact is, Mr. Sinha, sadly, unfortunately, call it what you may, it's a little rich coming in from the BJP to accuse the Congress, or even vice versa. But Mr. Deshpande, you wanted to come in. Make your point. I want
very briefly. After 2017, he left the Congress party. He was tried in the court of law. When he was found innocent, that's when he rejoined the Congress party in 2023. And secondly, this continues to remain an isolated case in one MP, one Lok Sabha constituency. Our top leadership in any state and across the national and in the nation is not actually directly spearheading hate speech.
All right,
He was found innocent. That's why he was inducted.
You know, I appreciate both the gentlemen for joining us, but I would reckon for anyone who's joined the course of this debate, it's to look up now to the top court of the country, to step in and actually move beyond the directives that it gave the last time around, because nobody's following it. Because when it comes to politicians and political parties, it doesn't matter until and unless the person making the hate speech comes in from the opposite political party.